Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another edition of the show, Trek Wednesday, Stardate 2016.237 at 2200 Eastern Standard Time. I'm joined here tonight by the head of the Grumpy Intelligence Agency, Admiral SarcasmDetector. I see you're very happy here tonight.
Yeah, I'm always happy.
Also joined here by our chief of spam spacebar tactics, and please make the D7 a very powerful ship, SOB.
Hello, I need that D7.
Oh, this will be a beautiful ship. Our chief of emergency role-playing and chief of displaying all this ship porn is off on the night. He's dealing with some network issues. Primarily making sure Canada stays great as always. But he will be giving us some commentary on these ships here later on, especially the aesthetic pleasing lines that they have on top of their capable firepower that they possess. So bring us straight into this. We all heard it. People on the forums have been crying about it since 11.5. Now they're actually getting what they want and then some. The classic TOS ships. Gentlemen, starting off with SOB, what do you all think about this so far?
I think that these ships are wonderful, but I think the D7 is probably the best pure KDF ship for DPS that they've ever released. I need it.
These ships certainly are very interesting. And I mean very, very interesting. Looks-wise, that's something we've seen before. I mean, really, we've seen these before ad nauseum. But stats-wise, these are something else altogether. And I think, was it Zerg said in TeamSpeak a little bit earlier, some of these ships are just like a nitpick away from being the perfect ships. Maybe I wouldn't go so far. But the stats are certainly very, very interesting. And have you taken a look at them yet, Odin?
I have actually, and I can tell you this much here. Those things are, it was, I'm just tripping over myself because I'm looking at the Connie and I'm looking at the D7 and I'm like, wow, if we can actually just merge the two together in like take the mastery from the KDF, slap it onto the Connie, with the command seating, perfect torque boat, done. Wrap it up for that class. It's a perfect torque boat. Sign the deal. Let's go. Certain maps you can run, Entropic Rider or any other debuff that you have on there, and then other maps you have recursive sharing. You're dropping big nukes anyway on that ship, and then on top of that, you have recursive, just taking all that beautiful damage that you're putting out. Let's say, yeah, let's slam another 40% behind that in the next 5 seconds. Done. Perfect. Seal the deal. And it looks okay too.
They look well. All right, let's go over the stats. I know Spencer's head probably exploded a little bit looking at these, but yeah, let's take a look at this. Let's go over the TOS Connie Tier 6 first. So starting off, Rear Admiral level 40s when you can unlock these ships or you can fly them. They have a 5-3 layout for a cruiser, which is really interesting. It's something I would prefer on a battle cruiser, but this will make for some really great dual beambank builds. You can't obviously run dual heavy cannons on this ship. 5-3 weapons though, that's something.
Isn't that, sorry to interrupt, isn't that something we've seen in like the Arbiter? If I remember correctly?
Yes, that is Well, I've said this before, that is my favorite layout for the battle cruisers and some of the dreadnoughts, having more forward-facing firepower. Because those ships are built for firepower, they're maneuverable enough to actually support that 5-3 layout. And you can, if you want to, you can run dual heavy cannons on them. It's a little awkward, but you could. But otherwise, you would probably run a dual beam bank setup on that. Very interesting. It is a cruiser, and it is maneuverable enough to support that 5-3 layout. I believe most people are still going to be running beam arrays, so broadsiding. So 5-3 doesn't make too much of a difference in that regards. It has 4 device slots, which is typical for a cruiser. And here's the thing, it only has 4 bridge officer stations. That's the bad news. The good news, 3 out of those 4 bridge officer stations are lieutenant commanders, with the 4th being a commander. So 1 lieutenant commander tactical, a commander engineer / temporal operative, lieutenant commander science, and a lieutenant commander universal / command. So it's a hybrid ship with temporal operative and command. 4 tactical, 4 engineering, 3 science, which is one of my preferred console layouts for a cruiser. Turn rate is 11.5, which puts it really at the top end of cruiser maneuverabilities, faster than a lot of the battle cruisers out there. And plus modifiers only at 0.15, inertia is 45, and it gets +5 to all power. And it has the regular cruiser mastery package, and it only comes with 3 comm arrays, cruiser comm arrays. It's missing the maneuverability / turn rate one, which is not a big loss on this ship. It's maneuverable enough, it doesn't really need it. So yeah, I think only thing the ship's missing to be absolutely perfect would be some frigate pets maybe.
Yeah, this thing, it lends, it's even for the classification of light cruiser, it definitely lends itself more towards the tanky style with the Starship Mastery on it. Definitely defensive all the way around.
Well,
This is going to make for a great feedback pulse cruiser.
Yeah, that lieutenant commander side.
well, technically you could run it as anything you want, really. Lieutenant Commander Tactical, Lieutenant Commander Science, okay, Commander Engineer, then you have another Lieutenant Commander Universal. So you can run that Universal Lieutenant Commander as another Tactical. You don't really need it, though. You could run it as a Science and just, add even more crazy, exotic, crazy science-y bits. Although it only has the 3 Science consoles, not a huge deal. Or you could run it as a Engineer. I don't really see the point in running it as an engineer. I would either go tactical and add torpedoes. Actually, you know what? That's probably the most beneficial part of having that 5-3 layout. You can add that torpedo in the front and really go to town on it. So yeah, I would go either tactical or science on that.
I wouldn't stop with just 1 torpedo. I would probably put 4 torps up front and then 1 of your stat stick energy weapons, or maybe even go with 2 of the energy weapons, 3 torps if you're used to that layout. You'll definitely be able to put the Terran beam or, definitely the Terran beam up front or aft. Heck, you know what? 5-3? Okay, here's what we're going to do. Quick build, real quick. Terran beam aft. We're also going to have the quantum phase beam aft and the advanced Thoron-infused Polaron beam array aft. So there's your 3 major stat sticks aft right there. And you have 1 photon, 2 quantums. So the rest of the loadout, if you're going to go with a full salvo build, will be quantum phase, neutronic, crafted quantum, and then the Terran Torpedo 4. We got room for 1. You know what? Let's throw the EBM on there, the Enhanced Biomolecular Photon Torpedo, because it is still that good. then turn that Lieutenant Commander Universal Command into a tactical, run Concentrate Firepower 3 in the Lieutenant Commander's seat, run High Yield 2 in the Lieutenant seat. Ensign will be attack team, or heck, even fall 1 or attack team 1, whatever you want. Everything else, build around it. You got your grav well, you got your temporal abilities there, you have recursive sharing if you need it for some maps, you have your debuffs on all the other ones. Done. There you go. Set.
Yeah.
I'm finished. I'm
Actually,
just
you know what,
drooling
SOB?
over this right now.
So thinking about it, since the commander engineering is a temporal, you can just stock full of temporal abilities on there and use the Lieutenant Commander Universal as the engineering slot.
Yep.
And then you'd have like the Lieutenant Commander Science in that. You notice
I
how I'm just
do-
ignoring all that torpedo talk.
Yeah, I wanted to say, while he was going through mentioning how he was going to just degrade that ship with those weapons, I got the bucket that I had been using for tiers, dumped them out, and I had to puke in it. Okay, I was just disgusted right there.
Dude, that's sexy time in HSC right there.
Let's move on to the Klingon ship. Oh man, you Klingons. Oh man, you really got lucky with this ship. I don't know. I think you got lucky on this ship. I might be what do I know, right? But here we go again. A 5-3 weapon layout. It's a battle cruiser this time, so you can run the dual heavy cannons if you so choose to. Who knows? Again, 4 bridge officer seats. 3 of them are the Lieutenant Commander. So Lieutenant Commander Tactical, Commander Engineer Temporal Operative, Lieutenant Commander Science, Lieutenant Commander Universal / Intel. It has Intel on it. So OMFG. Wow. Base turn rate 11, impulse modifier 15, inertia is 45. Same as the Connie. It's got plus 10 to weapon power and engine power. It has it does have the molecular reconstructor. Does the Connie have it as well?
Yes.
So even though they're hybrid ships, they do have the temporal ability. They're interesting. Battle cloaking device. OMFG times 2. Got the battle cruiser package, and of course the battle cruiser comm array, which is the shields and weapon systems efficiency. You're not gonna be really running it as a tank. You could if you wanted to, but this thing is going to be crazy powerful. I forgot to mention the console layout, same as the Connie, 4 tactical, 4 engineering, 3 science. Again, you can go crazy overboard on the science abilities and the temporal abilities. You do have the Intel in there, so you can use the OSS. You can go for OSS 3 if you want. It's nuts. It really outperforms the Connie in that regard. It probably outperforms most of the other ships in the game, bar maybe a few. Very, very nice ship.
I need this ship. I plan on actually turning it into a tank, with feedback pulse being how it currently is. I'm probably going to make that Lieutenant Commander uni attack and then do OSS 3. Then Beta, Delta, FA3, TAC Team, and Chemo.
Come on, this is an OSS gunship right here.
Yeah, you probably be you won't have enough engineering abilities. Then again, you don't really need that many, right? You just need what, engineering team and emergency power to weapons.
I was tanking fine on my Vengeance with just an Oxta Sif.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I guess you don't really need the emergency power to weapons, do you? That's actually... That's a tough one. That's a tough one to give up. Especially for the emergency weapon cycle.
Well, I would have emergency power to weapons 1 on at least. I'm putting this, of course, on my KDF character that I'm just working on now. So I would normally do emergency powered engines and weapons, but I don't have that lovely, emergency con hologram on this character because for some reason we can't, get it even though we've got it unlocked on other characters. It's really saddening.
So the tier 6 TOS, which, how many of these do we have now? We have quite a few of them. I guess it just works out just to complete the package. But I seem to feel like we have a lot of these tier 6 TOS type ships around. Anyway, it comes with a 5-2 layout, 5 forward, 2 rear. So it's definitely an escort type ship. Again, 4 bridge officers, 3 of which are lieutenant commanders, but this time the commander is a tactical temporal operative, lieutenant commander engineer, lieutenant commander science, lieutenant commander universal / pilot. So the hybrid is the pilot in this regards. So that's actually quite interesting. Tactical or console layout is 4 tac, 3 engineering, and 4 science. Whoa a second. This one's got 4 science consoles. Interesting. Base turn rate of 19 and plus modifier of 0.2. Inertial modifier of 70. So this is going to be quite a nimble ship. Not the most nimble ship out there, but it's going to be up there. Plus 10 to weapon, plus 10 to engine power. Can load the dual cannon. It's got the molecular reconstruction Romulan battle cloaking device. And it's got the tactical warbird mastery set. So accuracy, singularity gain, all damage, crit chance. And of course it's got the singularity powers. In the ranks of overpowered Romulan ships, it's going to be up there. It's probably not going to be the most overpowered ship there is. Romulan ship, I should specify. But it's going to be really, really good. I think the lack of a 5th tactical console is going to hurt it a little bit. But the 4th science console is going to mitigate that a little bit.
My only issue with this one is that pilot seat.
I was just going to say that myself. I mean, this ship has so much potential. That pilot seat, though, is limiting. And this would actually be decent for PvP if that was still a major thing in STO. But outside of PvP, man, that pilot's not covering much.
I mean, you can use it to nanny someone with that pilot ability there. What's it called?
Form up.
Form up? Yeah, okay, thank you. You can nanny someone with it.
I really wish this ship would have had intel on it. It would have just been amazing then.
Nah, man. With an EBC, if that thing actually had devastating weaponry on it as well for Starship Ability Package, I know it doesn't for this one, but if it did, that concentrate firepower combined with that EBC, woof, straight up torp boat of doom.
I don't know. I think giving it intel would have caused it to step on the Fayette's toes a little bit too much.
The Fayette's toes need to be stepped on a bit, man, because too many people are riding on that freaking coattails for way too long. I don't know. This one probably would have been better, especially with the temporal seating on it.
But yeah, I see this more of a very nimble, sciencey ship. So lots of exotics. Definitely a lot of exotics here. Very interesting. So let's go over the trait and the universal consoles that come with this. So just to point out that these ships come out of an R&D pack, so pucker your rear ends to pay out the nose for these ships if you really want one. And
just to add on to that, they're going to be on sale this weekend, the 20% off. So it'll be 800 Zen for the 4-pack. But I would say wait till Friday to buy any Zen because they like to put Zen sales out a day after the event starts.
So
You heard it first.
Yeah, so wait, don't rush in, because you're gonna be paying, you're gonna be hurting with that paying. So just wait a little bit and maybe take an edge off that hurt a little bit. Starship trade, built to last. So while this trade is slotted, activating a hull healing bridge officer ability will apply a weapon power cost reduction, 33% I believe, and a hull regeneration buff, which is 30 to 90%. Hull regeneration buff effectiveness will increase when triggered at low hull strength. Kind of meh. It's an interesting trait. That weapon cost reduction isn't as good as it sounds. It's slightly better than using weapon systems efficiency, which is what, 25%, but actually comes out to 20% when used by itself. It's 33%, so it'll come out to what, 28%? 28.5, something. And remember, there's diminishing returns when you actually use multiple cases of weapon power reduction. So if you're using weapon system efficiency, emergency weapon cycle, even greedy emitters, the Nandy trait, it'll come down to about nothing. But you can probably get the cost of firing a beam weapon down to around 5 points per beam. So cutting in half, maybe a little bit less than half. Maybe. So it might be an alternative if you don't have emergency weapon cycle and or greedy emitters.
And it can have 100% uptime. It's up for 20 seconds whenever you hit a heal, and it refreshes every time you hit a heal.
Interesting. So yeah, okay, 100% uptime. If you can manage that, shouldn't be too much of a problem.
With strategist as your secondary, you turn on threatening stance, pop whatever heal you have there. Yeah, stuff comes off cooldown, including your other heals. So, like if you have hazard emitters and engineering team, pop one of those, and then it should shorten the cooldown for the other. So, yeah, win.
Well, you should be able to hit Aux to Sif every 10 seconds.
Oh, that's right. That's stupidness too. Woof. Never mind. Overpowered. More energy weapon power. There you go.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. Aux to Sif is like 15 seconds by itself and a 10-second shared cooldown. So, yeah. Our engineering team is what? Shared cooldown of 15 seconds. So, yeah. You can keep that up all the time. It's an interesting trade. It's not really crazy overpowered or really absolutely necessary. Like I said, it's an alternative if you don't have the cheaper alternative such as emergency weapon cycle and the Nandy trait. Although the Nandy was a limited time ship, wasn't it? So maybe. Let's take a look at the console omnious device. I can't words tonight, guys. I'm sorry. I just can't. So this will do a Corbomite maneuver. Nearby enemy starships will flee from you for a very brief period. Affected foes will have their damage resistance and defense reduced substantially for a short time. What's substantially? Do I have, I think I had a screenshot here somewhere.
Substantial. Let me see. I need to look up my cryptic verbiage to mathematical numbers. Hold on. Console universal ominous device. Let me see here. Substantial. Was that like 10 seconds? 8? I don't know. What day is it today? Wednesday? It might be 6 seconds. We have to double check that.
And the passive for the console is a plus 20% all damage buff, category 1. It's I mean, it's for some things, it's going to not be much, but it's the same amount we see with the fleet combat buffs, and that does have a bit of an impact on some abilities, especially exotics.
Yeah, for your weapons loadout, it's gonna do diddly squat. It's gonna be less than like a 1% increase in damage because that field is already really oversaturated. If you know what you're doing and you're stacking properly, it's not gonna do much. If you're a new tune and you don't have anything or you have no idea what you're doing, and you somehow lucked out and got this, then yeah, it might be a little bit interesting. But if that happens, I'd actually hate you.
Come on, you can't hate a person like that. Unless they got the D7, then yeah, definitely hate them.
But yeah, it'll give a nice boost to stuff like your embassy consoles. And it's all damage, so your science abilities as well, although that field is starting to get saturated as well, so you don't expect to see the full, 20% out of that. Might be lucky to see half of that. Maybe a little bit more on the actual exotic consoles, the embassy consoles. Maybe. We'll have to see testing. So, in any event, we'll probably see some records broken with these ships in the near future. I'm not gonna be all too surprised if that happens. But
I'm telling you, HSC is going to get stormed with at least one of these ships in there. And by that extension, CCA as well, especially with that D7. I'm looking at that thing and I'm jonesing and I'm thinking, if that other universal seating was a uni, oh, the amount of pain you could cause with that. Yeah, but anyway, I'm done drooling. Sorry, continue.
One thing I always do when I'm considering a ship or just reviewing a ship, I'll also, I'll take a look at its stats. I'll take a look at how it looks and how it performs. Actually get into it and fly it and test it out. But the main point I like to consider is its cost and how easy it is to get. So a ship like the Paladin, for example, would score really high because it's a cheap ship that performs really, really, really well. It looks great, and it's cheap. It's fairly easy to get. A lot of people got it for free. But when you start talking about these super rare ships, super rare drops from an R&D box, where the drop is probably going to be less than 1%. Yeah, who knows? It's probably less than 1%. And, you're paying real money and gambling for the chance to get it. And, some people will have a lot of resources to throw at this and probably start dumping it on the exchange. It's probably going to start out at 750 million and then just go up. It's probably not going to be available on the exchange. Especially the Connie. I really don't think we're going to be seeing the Connie on the exchange. People have been demanding it for so long.
It's actually just one box for this. They're not doing it like the Kelvin lock box, so it'll be just one box that you see from any faction. And then it'll open up apparently how the Wells did.
Right. It'll attune to whatever faction you have. So in that case, it might actually land on the exchange, but I really doubt. I really, really doubt it's going to be anywhere below 700 mil.
I don't know. You think there'll be an early seller or two? That like they did with the Kelvin Connie. They had a couple people who would try to do max sells, and then you had the vicious undercut sale early on, especially with what they did with the Vengeance as well. And then it just kind of stabilized in the price after a week? No, this one's going to be a fire sale?
Well, the reason the Vengeance crashed is because the week before, everyone was building up massive piles of Lobi. So you just had such a massive supply. We don't have that with these promo packs. These packs, you have to buy brand new ones from the C-Store. to have a chance at this.
So the investment definitely will say 750 or bust.
Most likely. It might go down. I won't be surprised if over the 3 weeks we see a few go down to low 700s. But yeah, this is not going to be a cheap ship at all.
Now, for those... Sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say this ship price inflation. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit.
Even with this pack having, a higher drop rate, it should be around 1.1%. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, you're gonna have people who probably gonna end up with a stockpile of 5 to 10 ships, maybe even more, but they're only drop them onto the exchange one at a time just to keep the prices high, which I, don't really think is really ethical. I mean, they can do it, they're allowed to do it. I just don't think it's a nice thing to do.
Quick question though, for the folks who aren't super space rich, what would they be able to do to be able to get this? Like if they were actually looking say, hey, I got a bunch of these other packs that I opened up from the Infinity lock boxes and I've been sitting on a couple of things, what would they be able to sell that would be high priced in order to be able to afford one of these ships?
A kidney.
With the Infinity lockbox, there's no point in holding on to those boxes. If you have Infinity boxes for anything, you need to open those and sell the contents. The price is only going to keep crashing on those items, and when we get to the next lockbox rerun in about 6 to 7 weeks, everything's just... We saw how much of a drop last time. The first time this box was out. Now, the second time it's out, be ready for Leech probably to dip under 5 mil.
Not that you need the Leech anymore, but anyways.
Wow. Conclusions on all of this. Good, bad, indifferent. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure bad is not going to come out of any of our mouths on any of these ships here, except that we could say bad on the pilot. But you know what you're going to do.
They're all good nice ships. Yeah. They're all. Sorry, I'm sorry, Spencer. They're all good ships. I just don't like the fact that they're going to be so limited.
Yeah, they're nice. They're unique with these layouts. There's certainly going to be some interesting builds to be tested on these. I just really wish that TOS had intel. That's what I have to say.
Would you believe I'm with you on that one?
Well, intel or command. I'll even go for command on it. I would just not pilot. Anything but pilot.
Well, by the way, folks, I forgot to mention that SOB here has one of his tunes that is actually a member of the Kinetic community, specifically part of Eli's side torp division. So congratulations, SOB. And I hope you keep busting CCA records and doing great things in Hive.
I honestly just, wanted a ship that could, just plow through CCA.
Well, you should also bring that into Corfez and HSC and a couple other places too. You do well.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not space rich either. For those commenting in the chat, I have 12,000 EC. So yeah, I'm gonna pass on this one.
Actually, I listened to SOB's advice, and I made a small mint on the Infinity lock boxes and the Kelvin Connie sales. And then said, hey, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead with this. I might actually give it a whirl. I'm going to wait until Friday or Saturday, see what the sale is, and then if there is one, start buying a couple packs and then try my hand at it. I got some ships to sell anyway.
Here, I'll give you guys listening out there a really nice piece of advice. Go spend 2,000. Is it 2,000 Zen to get the small Agents of Yesterday pack, the one that includes the Paladin, and maybe spend another 500 to get the fleet version. Get the Paladin, get the fleet version of the Paladin. It'll do everything that the Tier 6 Connie does. Probably better. Save yourself some money.
Save yourself a lot of money that way.
Yeah.
But I want that Connie, man. I want that Connie look. I want that classic TOS style thing.
Hey, some people have the money to throw around. No, and I guess that keeps the game afloat. But, meh. Whatever.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for your opinions on this one here. And we're definitely going to make sure that we'll keep a close eye on this ship and its performance throughout the next couple of days. Moving along here, we do have one of our favorite events coming in here. And I say favorite, by favorite, I mean favorite as in waiting for the cutscenes to go through and finish up. And, oh, yes, excellent time gating. You know exactly what this is, folks. The Mirror Invasion event. It has returned. SOB, what's our reward for this one after we slugged through, 15 minutes of hell?
It's a Admiralty card that only unlocks for that character. So this is just getting a lot of lovely feedback on Reddit and everywhere. People just are not happy about this. A lot of people don't want to actually run this. The Admiralty card just isn't worth the amount of time that they'd have to spend, especially with it only being per character unlock. For those that are doing it, I know a lot of people are talking about setting up AFK runs for this, where they just sit AFK throughout the entire first stage. People were doing it the last time this event was here, and a lot of people are going to be doing it this time, myself included, because you just sit AFK through the first part, then come back during the second phase and kill everything, and you're done. It's the best way to do this, Matt.
Well, pretty much all the rewards have always been per character bound. And speaking of useless rewards, anyone remember Mirror Hakiv? Anyone?
No. I must have fell asleep on that one. Sorry.
So what was the other reward we had? Well, we had the shotgun a couple of years ago, or a couple of events ago. And there were some other rewards that I just don't seem to remember.
Agony thing, wasn't it, last time? Agony gun or something?
The one a couple beforehand was the Zephyr Cochran shotgun, and that was actually pretty decent.
Until it got nerfed.
But even then, it's, okay, all right, I get it. But, yeah. But, okay, what about for folks who are new to the game? They're trying to build up resources. This will probably be, a good thing to run for the time that they're investing into it? Bad? About equal? What?
These events are actually very nice for newer players for getting marks, because some of the reps can be a bit difficult to get marks for. Some people have trouble with Iconian. Some don't want to spend a bit of time in the Dyson battle zone or the Undine. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be going in, getting their ICO marks and stuff in there.
You get a choice box, right? For just completing the queue every single day. Right?
Yes.
Okay, so there's that. That's definitely a bonus. So you can pick whatever, reputation marks that you particularly need. The end reward is what, 50,000 dilithium, which is nice. Actually, that's actually really interesting, especially if you have a bunch of alts. You run it 14 times on each alt once per day, and then you'll have however much 50,000 dilithium ore, which should be like what, a week's worth, or not even a week's worth of refining. No, but it's somewhat worth it, especially if you don't have a lot of dilithium ore. 500 fleet marks. It's not too bad. It's not bad. It's not overly good, but it's something. 250 marks of your choice. Again, very nice. And once you complete it, then you can, each additional day you do it, you can get like, what is it, 2,000 dilithium ore, 50 fleet marks, and something like 35 marks of your choice per day. That's on top of how, the actual box that you get for running the queue. So in that regards, and it's a very good way to get marks. I think Talon84 pointed out in the chat that he'll be using this to get his 3,000 Iconian marks that he needs. I'm not really happy about the AFK run, so obviously pugs should be avoided.
Yeah, this is going to be a pain in the butt if you're trying to go for max marks. For those people actually want to try, I don't know, call me old-fashioned, but if I go into an STF, I'm going to go in there trying to smash the hell out of it, not just AFK through it.
Yeah, those people who AFK in these runs should be shot.
I'm going to have to AFK in your run, Cam.
I'm going to have to
shoot them.
Do something really bad to you, which I can't say on a live broadcast. But you know what? I'm actually really hoping they said they were going to fix it, and I'm hoping they have fixed it for this event, is that bloody freaking wait. When you actually get the starbase to tier 4, tier 5, the upgrade, and then nothing spawns anymore and you have to wait 5 minutes. That is a bug. And they've said that they were going to fix it, and I'm hoping that they have. Because that actually, if they fix that, because I remember the state it was when they actually fixed that the first time, it becomes interestingly challenging. I'll put it that way. It becomes really interestingly challenging. You get non-stop rifts opening up with ships popping out of them, and it gets exceedingly difficult to defend the starbase.
Now, if they did it that way, where if you were able to charge up the starbase quickly and then it advanced it accordingly, then yeah, I would be very happy with that. I wouldn't mind it at all. But if it's okay, we charge it, now we wait, and then we're going to wait some more, and then we're going to wait some more, and twiddle our thumbs, AFK 5 minutes, going to get some coffee, jog, do some push-ups, whatever. I don't know. I need a comedian to entertain me at that point.
I love this. One of the things I love about this thing is I really get to flex my science ships. Because remember, different ships have different types of ships have different roles. So the science ships will close those rifts a lot faster. The cruisers will power up those whatever they are a lot faster. Oh, and I'm getting a CNR here. So yeah, I love going in an itsy bitsy science ship and just zooming around, closing the rifts, diving in. I see someone aggroing a whole bunch of things. I'll dive in behind them, close the rift, move on to the next rift. It's a lot of fun.
Remember my first time coming back a bit over 2 years ago, and I ran this event, and Vel, Jarvis, and Alfred was there pretty much tanking everything in the scimitar. And I'm like, I'm sticking with this guy. And as he's grabbing aggro, I'm just flying right behind him, my tiny little Defiant, spitting out a nice little spray of torps all over the place. And it does lend very well to good team cohesion. You can go in there. It's not as annoying as Procyon 5. Proc 5 is so annoying in that regards, where the mirror invasion, yeah, they got it right. The mix was there. The difficulty was there. Closing the portals functioned properly. It felt right. It acted right. It was decent. It was good.
Yeah, I agree. This is one of those queues that benefits from teamwork. Then you don't even need to be on like TeamSpeak and communicating and anything like that. You know, if we have a team where everyone knows what they're doing, it becomes so much more fun. So yeah, again, probably avoid pugs. You know, stick to channel runs, so DPS channels, Reddit channel, whatever, Agronauts channel, anything like that, with players that you know, and you know, just try to maximize those mark collections, those rewards.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be skipping this on my main, but on maybe one or two of my alts, especially my AOI tune, I'll probably do it. So it won't be so much of a chore. Because all the other tunes don't need dill except for the newer ones. So, yeah, I'll go with that.
I'm gonna actually have to go back and check my bank to see if I have any of those marks, the elite marks from the queue stashed over from last time.
Oh, don't they rotate them? Or no. For this one, they should still stay the same, correct?
Yeah, correct. They stay the same.
Yes. Yeah, I know. I definitely have a couple banked.
Unless they've swapped it at the last minute, but I don't think so.
No, it looks like a little bullet. It looks like a little bullet shell or something like that.
In fact, I'm gonna dock and run to the bank right now.
All right. While you're doing that, I'm not sure if this is something here that you put up there, SOB, but what is this about STO Neverwinter packs being removed from Steam?
So there was some exploit that was allowing people to get the packs for free on Steam. So they have completely removed all of the STO and Neverwinter packs from the Steam store. I don't know if that's temporary or not. So that most of the items are available on Arc, but the issue is the Steam Runner pack. Trendy has said that they're looking into other methods for us to get that pack. But any existing codes will still work if they're from Steam. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that.
Now, for those who don't know, why is the Steam Runner so sought after on this? Even from a collector standpoint.
It has a console that's pretty handy. And it's a good ship. It's not a high-end T6 ship, but it has a starter ship and a T5, both of which, as I said, pretty decent. A lot of people just really liked that ship and how it looks.
Isn't the Tier 5 Steam Runner somewhat equivalent to the Manticore, or has a similar layout?
Similar to the Chimera, yes.
Yeah, okay. It is a kind of popular ship. Well, I wouldn't say popular, but it is a very niche ship that is popular with, you know, people who like it. And yes, a very good starter ship as well. That's interesting.
All right. Next thing up we have on here, we have a Redditor by the name of FEPH289, who has worked on the STO cooldown reduction calculator, now at version 1.05. We'll include the link on it here. What it does, it helps you calculate how much cooldown reduction you'll get based off of things like buffs, gear items, etc., etc., etc. So it's hold on. He's now at 106. So this will be good stuff. And he has a sheet that you can actually add in your stuff. It runs the calculations for you, and you'll be able to check it. Major sources cited on this was work done by J and Alfarn, right? I do have words, right? And of course, Atem, aka the Fallen Phoenix, his work has definitely been pioneering on a lot of this stuff here as well. So definitely check it out if you're going to be using a lot of cooldown DOFs, the Crenum DOFs, or any abilities that help you with cooldown reduction. Use this calculator, because there's a certain point where you can only run so many different cooldowns before you're not getting any benefit from it at all. Correct?
Well, yeah, because you can't go below the shared cooldown on certain things. Bridge officer abilities mainly. There are some captain abilities that don't have a shared cooldown, so you can reduce them to crazy levels.
What do I see? Attack pattern alpha and tactical fleet. What attack team? No, not attack team. Sorry, tactical fleet being those two primary boogers that people always complain about. Right, SOB, you trying to loop in? Overlap a couple of those.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm sorry. What was that again about APA? How many times did it lap itself?
No, you couldn't lap it. Actually, the next thing here, just go into it. Taking advantage of the temporal specializations continuity on attack. In some runs, properly timing continuity has allowed me to get 2 GDFs and 3 alphas in a sub 2-minute run. And how I'm doing it is, like, I'll get my GDF at the start above 10%, because continuity triggers whenever you drop 2 or below 10%, so it's not the best GDF. Then heal up a bit so I don't get taken below. Go over to the left side, hit alpha. Then after that, I want to try and get taken below 10%. So I'll either just be shot at the left side, or I'll hug all the spheres at the left sphere spawn and just take all them warp core breaches. And I also hit timeline stabilizer there. So that gives a 50% cooldown reduction to all of my captain abilities, on top of this giving 50%.
Oh, and you're not using the
and broadside console. The broadside emitters from the Vengeance I was also using. And in some runs, I've actually had it where I'm getting my second GDF, or the ability to hit my second GDF, while the first GDF still has 30 seconds left on it.
Interesting. Now, here's the thing. You could almost do that with just all hands on deck and the timeline stabilizer. Not quite. I mean, you can't get the back-to-back alphas. You can get, an alpha after with a 5 to 10 second gap between them. So you can get pretty close with some of that stuff, but you add in the continuity on top of that, I guess you don't even need the all hands on deck.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's extremely powerful, and a lot of people are not taking advantage of it. The other nice thing about the continuity ability itself is it acts somewhat like an invincible trait, which a lot of people want, but they don't quite have the EC to get it. So if you get taken down to even 0%, continuity will trigger and take you back up to about 50% in most ships. But if you get taken right back down, it's only a one-time thing. It activates, you go back to 50. If you get taken back down to 0 immediately again, you're dead. Even if you have Invincible on, it's got a little bug there. You have to give it a few seconds. But it's very handy, and it's just another thing that makes that tree so much better than Intel.
But you need to have like 18 points into that tree to get that.
Ideally, you'd actually want to have 20 to get it, because continuity has a debuff attached to it
Right.
that you can completely remove with 2 more points.
Yeah, you want to get rid of that continuity debuff as well. So you're right, 20 points into the tree.
It's a bit of a grind, but it's much better for most people than trying to get the 300 plus million to get the Zal for Invincible.
Okay. The price has gone down a bit. Still overpriced. The Zal is a good ship, though. Wait, is it the Zal for Invincible?
Yeah, there's all for it. And that thing flies like an unbalanced tugboat. I don't know, man. I mean, maybe if it was a tank, yeah, it'll be decent, but nah, not to my liking, man. We do have a... Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, Jay just pointed out that you can do it with Timeline Stabilizer, All Hands on Deck, and the Intel Dreadnought console. So yeah, there's multiple ways to do this. It's not just the spec itself. I'm looking at this as, you know, there are multiple ways to do this. It just gives people more options. I mean, come on, some of us only have 12,000 DC. We can't afford every fucking thing there is out there.
Hey, man, get good. Make money.
I can't.
Go grind. Come on, you can run like, I don't know, do a board tour, do Fez, hope for Benthans and not a buggy one. You can, you know, pick up all the loot there. That's about, what, 6 million there? You just sell the loot, do that a couple times. Yeah, you'll make money in no time flat. Well,
Right.
you know, no time flat being about 2 or 3 months, but still, you'll be able to buy a Zal after that.
Right, and how many times have I logged into STO in the past couple of weeks?
Touche, good sir, touche.
Oh, hold on. Frank in chat just asked a question. What if you're not running an exotic dot build? Well, I'm sorry to respond to your question with another question, but what the heck is wrong with you, man? Just joking.
Hey, you could be running an all beam build and benefit all from the haste within the temporal spec, or temporal, depending on how you want to enunciate it.
I'm just joking, by the way. There are plenty of other types of builds that will perform just as well. You can go with the classic beam meta build that will perform adequately well. You can go with a torpedo build, which won't perform as well, but whatever. There are different ways of doing things. Hell, you can even go for a jam build, and that will perform like crap, but, you know, whatever.
Actually, no, because if you run ICP and if you have Checkmate, that jam build will give you a chance to shut down shields, and then Checkmate will boost the exotic and torp damage, and then you just start, drilling those torps right down the middle, and all that beautiful hull is going to get exposed, and they just go smack, and it's a beautiful thing right there. Sorry, just fantasizing. Anyway, moving right along. We had a question from a couple weeks ago. We're just going to bring this up now here. Someone from the audience had asked, when they're going to build for the Science Ultimate, what points do they put into the tactical line? They like to see if they have a link or build or, pretty much our opinions as far as what we could actually build out depending on what we're going for. They're also asking, does accuracy and attack tree matter? Or if it doesn't benefit CSV, fire at will, torp spread, blah, blah, blah. What points would you want to stick into the tactical tree, depending if you're like an all-beam build versus an all-exotic build versus a torp build versus, a hodgepodge trying to cover all your bases at once. What things to avoid because they're just that bad overall for PvE content only. And what other general advice would we have as far as doing that? If we're going straight down for the Science Ultimate, getting just the 2 Science Ultimate, and then building out for the rest in TAC, what would you do? Let's start with you, Mr. Sarcasm Detector.
Actually, I have 26 points in science, 11 in engineering, and only 9 points in TAC, which I think is about the minimum that you need.
And what are the 9 points in?
So 3 points in energy weapon training, and I jumped down 1 point in weapon amplification, 2 points in weapon spec, and then 3 points in hull penetration. That's about it. So there's a lot of stuff there, so no projectiles, of course. Targeting expertise, you don't need the accuracy. You don't need, well, the bonus defense is interesting. It could be good. I don't have it selected. Then you have shield weakening. But I would say that's more, it's a really good one. I think it's more for torpedoes. Helps out with torpedoes more than anything else. I could be wrong. I just don't run it. I don't see the point. Coordination protocols for hangar pets. That could be actually interesting. That whole tree there could be very interesting for people who like the flight carriers. I actually like the flight carriers, but I just don't run it. Tactical readiness. Definitely not needed. You have so many things that reduce the cooldowns. You really don't need that. So I prefer just, shoving as many points into science and getting some choice points into engineering and just barely enough in tactical. And I think SOB runs something similar to what I have, maybe slightly modified.
I actually have slightly different there with the engineering. I have 6 points in engineering and 13 in TAC and 27 psi. For my tactical skills, I have 3 points in the energy weapon training. I've got 1 point in the crit D weapon amplification, 3 in the crit chance weapon specialization, and then I went for 3 points in both the hull pen and shield pen. Because the shield pen is actually a little bit valuable in like Hive Elite, which most of my characters I take into there every now and then.
Interesting.
I have for a couple of tunes. I actually have one tune that's a rainbow beam tank, and I obviously spec them down to energy weapons, but I did go down the science line with that. So I definitely have the 26 in psi, and depending on the tune, it would vary a little bit. But overall, I would still go for the Science Ultimate, the probability window extension, and the debuff on the target whenever you crit. Those two are definitely musts, so get those. I went 5 for my torpedo ships. I went 5 into engineering, and I picked up battery expertise. Whichever 5 is for whatever suits you the most. I picked up impulse expertise because I like a little bit more maneuverability, and then the other 2 points into whatever the heck I feel like at that moment. Tactical. I actually have a skill planner, and I'm going to link in the show notes here later on that would have my quote-unquote general layout that I would have for the Science Ultimate. And it will involve actually, I'm going to modify it because I can squeeze in energy weapons to max, torpedoes to max. You should be so proud of me, both of you. I've actually maximized my energy weapons now on at least one of my alts. I completely skipped targeting expertise and defensive maneuvering because I don't PvP with the alts there. And even if I did, accuracy on the weapons that I actually use for PvP will be more than enough for that. For the typical build, I would definitely go weapon amplification for the torp boat. I would skip weapon specialization because then I can go down and pick up 3 in hull penetration and 3 over in shield penetration. And then I have, that's it. I'm done. You know, there's your boat. Yeah, you're set to go blow something up. Pop probability manipulation frequently whenever you're going to open up a big can of whoop everything in front of your face. And keep firing. Win. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Cam, you were right. That shield pen, even though it's not the world's greatest thing, it does help a lot for torps, especially for torps, because it does, and actually it's shield weakening. Although, if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Jay, when they released it in 11.5, it was still functioning as a shield penetration instead of an actual shield weakening. And there's a huge difference. The shield weakening would actually weaken the shields whenever you do that damage to it. So instead of like saying 75% of your damage is off the board whenever your torps hit the shield, and that only 25% of damage is actually done to the shield, it would actually be like 28 and change or 29 and change, which seems small, but when you start hitting into the 3, 4, 5, 6, and 700K range, that extra 3% will mean something to you. So yeah, it's useful. Get it. You'll love it. Any other thoughts on this?
Just Dark Eddie asked the question here: is warp core efficiency not considered a good idea anymore? All right, here's what I got for engineering, and hopefully that'll answer your question. At the top, I have 1 point in hull restoration, 1 point in hull capacity. Obviously, 3 points in the EPS system flow, so just the full impulse energy shunt as well. And then 3 points into impulse expertise, because speed and turn rate is also DPS. Let's not forget that. 1 point into hull plating. I skipped damage control because, well, whatever. I skipped the next system, defense subsystem tuning and offensive subsystem tuning. I just skipped those, and I put 2 points into warp core potential. So 1 point into warp core potential, and then warp core efficiency. So if I had the extra point, I would put it into the improved warp core potential. It just, for me, it helps out with the balancing. Some people might disagree with that because we got, so many different abilities out there that, give you extra power. I just think that it just helps me with my power balancing needs, and maybe it's a holdover from the old skill system. I just really prefer to have it in there.
I took a slightly different tack than you on this. Again, mostly this is for torp boats here. So you can build to the way you like it. For siege builds, you probably want to add a little bit more robustness to it, especially if you're in a cruiser. Expand on your hull hit points. And then you don't need to worry about your maneuverability so much because you're literally going to be sitting there and spewing torpedoes downrange. So those 3 points from impulse expertise can get moved over into things like hull capacity, and then 2 points over into something else, depending on what you want to do, either defensive subsystem tuning and auxiliary performance if you're going to throw a little bit more psi magic downrange, or add a little bit more resistance to your flavor, or if you want to get at least 2 stacks of amp, go warp core potential and the improved warp core potential. Done. For the majority of my torp boats that I actually build off my torp captains, actually, I went with 2 points into the warp core potential. One of them I actually have in warp core efficiency. The other one I have in just improved warp core potential. That way I can get at least 2 stack of amp by maximizing aux, and then swap my presets between shields and engines. Yes, you can actually swap your presets, set the power levels there beforehand. And I know I'm dating myself, but when you're in combat and you need to go from more power to shields to more power to engines, click on that preset or bind it to something. And look at that. Wow, you have more power to engines. I can move faster now. That's exactly what you should do. Don't be lazy. Anyway, I digress.
And yes, EPS actually helps speed the flow of power from one subsystem to the other, and I only have 12,000 EC. EPS does not make me any money, contrary to popular belief.
Well, that's because I was the one crafting and you were selling it.
Oh, right, sure, okay.
Which reminds me, I do owe you money for your cut on that. Thanks, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
So
right.
Frank just asked a question here. Using the Science Ultimate, do you prefer locators or exploiters? Okay, well, here's the thing with the Science Ultimate. Potentially, it could actually lower your crit chance. Especially if you got Particle Manipulator. But I think it's still worth it to keep the locators. So critical chance, you still want to have critical chance for all the times that you're not running the Science Ultimate. And does the Particle Manipulator stack on top of your global crit chance, or is that by itself now?
Yes, it stacks.
So yeah, you still want that. You still want the crit chance over your crit severity. It's a lot easier to get crit severity on most things.
Except torp boats, complete opposite. You want to go with the exploiters. Stack as many of those bad boys you can. If you're running a theme build and that's all you're ever going to do with that tune, like say photons or transphasics or quantums, get the quantum exploiters or transphasics or photons, whatever is appropriate for that weapon type that you're firing, and then just go to town with exploiters. I know you're going to live the bad life of not having that many crits once you're outside of the probability manipulation window, but you know what? It's not that bad. It really isn't. Because when you start throwing down torps with high yield 1 and CF, or even if you're not using concentrate firepower, you're still shooting a lot with your supplemental energy weapons. You're going to get a crit. Just random numbers are going to get thrown out there. You're going to get a crit eventually. Yes, it's probably going to be on your energy weapons, blah, blah, blah. Your torps are going to hit hard if you juice them up properly. Yes, torpedo ships live in Cat 1 land except for the trait, but still, you hit hard enough. When you do get that crit, is stupidly amazeballs. And when you pop probability manipulation, that timer starts immediately when you click that button. So that whole, what is it, like a 2-minute window is actually a minute and 30 seconds. That's actually going to be down because that thing's going to be up for 30 seconds. That thing goes by quick. So unless you're in the ultra high-end DPS run, you could pop it twice in an ISA. You're definitely going to be popping it once in a CCA and then just nuke the heck out of the crystal anyway because you're a torpedo ship. That's what you do. HSC, you're going to get plenty of times to use that often. So pop it. You're going to get plenty of times to use it in Corfez, in Storming the Spire. Definitely going to be using that a lot. A lot of your missions, your playthrough missions, use it. Use it liberally when you have a big windup and you're getting ready to deliver. Make sure you pop your buffs, then pop probability manipulation and fire. You'll love it. Load up with exploiters.
Alrighty. Oh, we do have some release notes.
I guess we can cover that.
Just opening it up here on my end to take a look. Klingon eyebrows. Yeah. Klingon eyebrows. So
There's something good for immersion in here, though. They're increasing the sound of the Kelvin phasers.
that'll rustle someone's Klingon eyebrows. Also, they've added some ambient audio to the Ryza system and, fixed the issue where TOS captains couldn't get to Andoria. Why they would even want to go to Andoria, beyond me. But they fixed it. Yay. Some interesting updates to the transwarp system, though. So, fleet maps no longer listed as transwarp destinations unless the player's in a fleet that has them. Oh, they removed Battle Group Omega. No longer refers to Gamma Orionis sector. No longer displays the deprecated Jupiter-class ship in this sector space. Aww. Wah, wah. Fleet transwarps updated the personal transwarp unlocks granted by the Fleet Transwarp Gate and added them to the Transwarp UI, which are now Tier 1 Fleet Starbase and Vulcan for Federation and Beta Quadrant and Rua Penthe for Klingons. Whoa! T2 Ryza, Tier 3 Defera, Tier 4 Bajor, Tier 5 Drozana Station. So you... does that mean you don't have to go to the Fleet Starbase to use the Fleet Starbase transwarps? You can...
I believe so.
Whoosh, that is actually fantastic. That is a nice quality of life change, if that's what it actually means.
The one thing I'll say with this is I would love it if they would add a Delta Quadrant transwarp somewhere, like Kabali.
Kabali is in the Delta Quadrant, isn't it?
Yes.
Or you mean like an extra transwarp to the Delta Quadrant apart from
Yeah, because they have Defera on there, but we already get an unlock for that from the Omega reputation.
So yeah, maybe a second unlock or a second transwarp to the Delta Quadrant, probably in the lower sector instead of the way up next to the Dyson Sphere, although it's really close to Argala. Although Argala is not such a big deal anymore. Let's see here. Klingon captains flying the Mirror Dreadnought can now use the AKS prefix. Let your Klingon eyebrows rejoice. And what else is there? There's some other random stuff in there. Not much going on in this patch apart from the mirror invasion, which we talked about a little bit earlier.
I will rejoice when the patch notes read, all torpedoes now have their flight speed increased by 50%. I will rejoice. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the support.
Yay, torpedoes. There you go.
I think it would be great if when that happens, a bug appeared where they would fire out of your ship and then just not move at all. That would be a great bug with that.
And all sources of haste will actually increase the time to wait between fire at will and your actual fall shots.
You've taken this too far, Odin.
No, I have not. I haven't taken this far enough yet. I got all day. Anyway, we're just going to move on with this here. Oh, definitely. This is the joy I've been waiting for all night right here. Right here. No, not the T6 Connie, not the D7, not the Knights of the Warbird here. No, we want this here. Sarcasm, please lead us in on this one.
So this is all over the internet. And if you haven't seen or heard about this yet, where the fuck have you been? What the hell is wrong with you? Pay attention. So the European Space Organization, is that it? The ESO? Just announced, like, what?
ESA.
ESA? ESO, whatever. Just announced, what is it, today, yesterday? I can't keep up with the time anymore.
Well, it was a couple of days, and then some information was verified by other scientists who wanted to get their hands on the data and study it for themselves, and they did. But it has been independently verified by multiple sources. But continue.
Earth-like planet found orbiting our nearest star other than the sun. And its name is Proxima b. So people are really excited about this. Possible Earth-like planet. It's the closest one to us, so what, 4 light years, give or take a little bit?
4.2 light years, plus or minus every couple of 100 years. It'll actually get a little bit closer to us. So, yeah.
So, it's in the Goldilocks zone. It's definitely warm enough to have liquid water. It's definitely a rocky terrestrial planet like the Earth. Do they know how big it is, actually? That I'm not quite sure about.
I've read several different areas. They're still trying to determine that, but they think it's probably about 1.5 to 2 times Earth. They definitely think that there's a high probability that it is rocky. We're talking at least, heavy type of rock, possibly iron nickel. So remnants from really massive supernova, and then deposit all this fun stuff there. So yeah, definitely something of solid substance and decent amount of gravity to it.
So, and it might even have an atmosphere, although I think we're going to need to wait for the giant Webb telescope to pop out to actually determine that.
Yeah, well, James Webb has some instrumentation that'll help us determine that. We have some techniques here on Earth that we can use to be able to cut down on our own atmospheric haze. And then once we're able to get some spectrometry on it, words, they fail me. We'll be able to take the light from Proxima and then have it warp around Proxima b. And then when it's in transit around in Proxima, we'll be able to see that. And hopefully we'll be able to see if there is an atmosphere based off of the amount of light that is bent. We already know what Proxima's spectrum is. We will then be able to determine based off of the spectra from that bent light around Proxima b to see if A, there is an atmosphere, and if there is one, B, what is its composition. And over multiple transits, we'll be able to determine whether if that composition is changing, even at a localized area of it, like, the upper, quote unquote, western side or the upper eastern side or the northern hemisphere, or the southern hemisphere. If that composition changes, then we'll know that there's some sort of activity on that planet that is driving the atmosphere to change chemically, whether it's natural, like say volcanoes, or some sort of tension on the planet that is causing it to spew out a whole bunch of gas and dust, or if it's something I don't want to say man-made, artificially generated, or generated by some sort of intelligence that's on there, whether burning fossil fuels, wood, etc. If we can monitor that after multiple transits, then we can start determining, okay, there's a possibility that in this atmosphere something is going on, and it's going on in a semi-regular interval.
Hold on a second. Let's see if it actually is an Earth-like planet, because we're still not 100% sure yet. We're, almost certainly positive it is, but not quite there yet. And just determine if it actually has an atmosphere in the first place.
Right, but I just went through the steps and saying if it did have one, this is what we'd be able to do. And we already have the techniques right now on Earth to be able to figure out all of this stuff from 4.25 light years away. To bring it down to Earth-like scale, say you have a big lighter. For all you smokers out there, people just have a little lighter on there. Just flick that flame on there. You see that flame? Good. Now I want you to go find a really bright lighthouse, and I want you to hold that flame in front of that lighthouse. Now I want you to go about the distance from California to New York, or from California to Hawaii. They're about equal in distance. From that other location, you will be able to discern that flame and its composition and what color that flame is from top to bottom while still looking at that lighthouse. That's how powerful our instrumentation is today. When James Webb comes online, we're going to double that capability.
It's certainly very exciting. So yeah, it is everywhere on the internet right now. People are really talking about it, and there are even talks about sending probes over to Proxima to check things out. Although I think I read a report that any probe we send over there will probably reroute and get disintegrated before it arrives.
I don't know, man. We could build some robust stuff around there. I have faith in the JPL boys and girls over there, because they built some nice orbiters and rovers that have went well beyond their service life and their planned mission life. So I have reasonable amount of confidence in their abilities to be able to put a probe that can go from one star system to another within about 50 to 100 years, and then get us some information.
50 to 100 years is about as much time as it would take to get there with our current technology, I believe.
Correct.
Well, actually, probably closer to the 50 mark. If you use some of the latest ion engines and whatever, they can get pretty fast, although that's not... Depends if you want to actually slow down when you get there.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why I'm putting the 50 to 100. I'm giving myself room for error, in case there's some sort of weird anomaly along the way, or, the little bit extra gravitational pull that we have to deal with somewhere, or we're dodging, Kuiper Belt objects, see what is out there in the Oort cloud, whatever. Just go with it.
Well, yeah, we're not just talking about our Oort cloud. It's, Proxima's probably got its own. But
and then there's it's a binary, 2.5 times, trinary, yeah. But I mean, the third star is on this really long orbit around it. So, yes, we've studied it enough. I'm sure the engineers and the boys and girls over at Astrometrics will be able to take care of orbital insertion into that system. But it's not going to be an easy ride. I mean, it really isn't. But they'll be able to get us over there. I think so.
So we were talking about planetary atmospheres, and I guess that's a interesting segue into the next article that I have here. By the way, this article, it's like I said, it's everywhere on the internet. The actual link I have in the show notes is from Popular Mechanics, but you can, like I said, find it everywhere on the internet. Everyone's talking about it.
I'll drop some in there from JPL and a couple other sources as well.
So my computer seems to have locked up, so I can't actually look at the next one. But what this one is about, this next article about, is scientists have actually analyzed some trapped air, air that has been trapped in a pocket inside sedimentary rock, to determine their oxygen content, and have determined that the Earth's atmosphere oxygenated about 300 million years earlier than was previously estimated. So about 800 million years ago. Previously, they thought it was 550 million years ago, and this point coincides with the diversification of life on Earth. Now, with this new evidence, it seems that the Earth's atmosphere was oxygenated even longer than that, previous to that, more than 50%, 330 million years earlier. So this gives us a little bit more ramification into the study of ancient life, of how life began on the planet Earth, and it also gives us some implications on the possibility of life on Mars as well. Although that's that people are, scientists are pretty much starting to consider that life on Mars probably evolved long before it did so on Earth. So there's some interesting ideas in there. So
That's a big, I mean, I understand that is a big leap. We are speculating that life had evolved on Mars because we're seeing the remnants of the conditions that would have been suitable for life. And one of the ever-growing hypotheses now called panspermia, where life had existed in some form on Mars. Some big rock hit Mars, ejected some of the microbes or early form of bacteria, whatever, or even just a lot of the complex amino acids, and it slammed right into Earth in just the right location or locations, and then life started growing from there. And even though it didn't originate on Earth per se, it came to Earth and then developed into its own Earth-like life itself. But it still originated from Mars. So technically, we all could be Martians, and we're just inhabiting Earth. The other part of this, that I actually read this a little bit earlier, this actually has implications into astrobiology and astrochemistry. Because if life spawned, or some form of life that was consuming carbon dioxide and then exhaling oxygen as its waste byproduct, started earlier than we anticipated, then that means that any of these other systems that we're seeing planets on that have some sort of atmosphere on there, we could be looking at one of them starting to develop life as we know it right now. And the implication of this is just mind-boggling. I'm going to link another video in here with this as well, where it's going to go through the paradox of, well, if life came before us and then died out, or if the types of civilizations that have existed on here, will they continue on? Will we find them? Will they find us? Do we even matter to them, or vice versa? That sort of thing. It's going to happen there. So you're going to see it's going to be an interesting read. It's going to be related to the article that Cam has found here. But this is just showing us that for as hard as we give the conditions for life, we set the parameters up for life to actually exist, it seems that it may not be as hard as we initially thought. And this means that the galaxy could be teeming with life. We're just not smart enough to detect it yet, or at the technological level to be able to detect it at this time.
Indeed. Actually, for life to form, if we're talking like the very basics like slime, it is actually very easy to get life started. Just have this. It doesn't require a lot of conditions. Just need a few certain conditions to exist, and boom, you have slime.
Slime is too complex, man. You don't even need to go that complex. Here's what you need for life: a bunch of lipids surrounding RNA, and every once in a while it replicates. Done. That's life.
Well, that's what I'm actually talking about. It just shows up as slime. It's basically what it is. Very simple. I wouldn't even call it single celled. I don't think cells even existed at that point. Like how life was about earlier than 500 million years ago when it first showed up. It was basically the Earth. It covered the Earth completely, and it was basically the planet was a giant slime ball at that point. So the existence of like very simple, like even simpler than bacteria, life in the universe, it should be extremely common. It should be very easy to make. Anyways, that's the implication in any event. Um,
One other small note on this, and I say small intentionally, for all the thousands of planets that Kepler, as well as other teams and techniques, have helped to find and we've confirmed, we are looking at the equivalent of our backyard. You know, typical United States, Southeast United States home plot in a major subdivision. That backyard is what we've looked at. The entire Earth is the galaxy in scale. We haven't even stepped outside the front door yet. We have a lot of space to discover, to observe, to map, to catalog, to figure out if something is actually there or not. We haven't even left our backyard yet, visually. And I'm done.
but yeah, that's well, of course we're always we're such nerds. We like to keep in touch with all this stuff, and well, you know, every time we find something interesting, we'll bring it up on the show just for your guys' entertainment and amusement.
And you can make fun of me later on anyway.
What?
Any
Space
closing
nerds?
remarks? Oh, yeah, come on, please. Nerd Jock, let me have it. Anyway, closing remarks on what we're going to see for tomorrow and going on.
My stuff needs to sell so I can get this D7 as soon as the server comes up.
Buying stuff. Sarcasm, what about you?
No, not really. I might
Give the
actually
core a photon torpedo console. I'm done.
right. I might actually start logging in to STO again. Maybe. We'll see.
Cool. Well, ZEFilms, wherever you are, man, hope you weren't working too hard. We'll see you next week or whenever work allows you to escape. We'd like to do a shout out to Vels, Jarvis, and Alfred. The Packlets did get him, so we're going to set up a Packlet relief fund. I think they want to see a whole bunch of trinkets and toys that go, so we'll exchange that to them for him. And yeah, we might actually see him on the show once in a blue moon. Probably like around December, January. That's a call out, buddy. Take it. Anyway, from all of us here on the show, have a good night, and we'll see you out there. Peace.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh, my computer's frozen again.
Well, it's still showing.